Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the channel and normal content. We're reviewing an episode of Doctor Who, as we most of the time do, except when there's new content around, which is almost happening. A week from now, we'll have new Doctor Who.
Oh, God.
Wow, that's gone
God,
around
yeah.
quick.
Oh, heck.
Madness.
Oh, heck. Is it literally a week tomorrow?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's next
Fucking hell.
23rd, isn't it? Yep, week tomorrow.
Shit. Okay.
Yeah, madness. But before we talk about and we get to the Power of Doctor, we review episodes here. We re-review them, so to speak, because we've seen them all before. We go from we've been from start of New Who 2005. We're now in what year is it? 2011.
It's 2022, Connor. I hate to tell you this.
Oh no. What
You've
have I
missed
done?
so much.
We're now
It's been another 7 series.
Oh God! Imagine if you were in a coma and you woke up and went, "Oh, is Matt Smith still the Doctor?" And you went, "Buddy, oh buddy,
boy, no, buddy, but you can still watch him in House of the Dragon." Okay.
Yes,
but yes, it was 2011 at this point.
2011, this episode came out. Series 6. We've watched the opening two-parter, which feels like a year ago now because we've had a bit of a break, thanks to new content. But we are at episode 3. I'm sure we're at everyone's favorite episode, The Curse of the Black Spot. The Doctor, Amy, and Rory find themselves aboard a pirate ship that has been becalmed, I think is the word they use, and it's being haunted by some devil, phantom, siren thing that's slowly picking them off if they get a cut. Although later we find out it's just if there's anything wrong with them in general. They have to find out what's going on, what the siren's doing. Is it really a siren? It's not. It's a nurse on a spaceship that's also in the same place as this ship. And then and then they just leave. I guess they just figure out what it is and go, oh, all right, and go. What did you think of this episode?
I didn't hate it as much as I thought I was going to. I mean, I didn't think I was going to hate it because I've never actively hated it. No. It's not the strongest. There are filler episodes that I would probably otherwise go to. I think, it's unfortunate that I think as a society and as TV as a whole has kind of moved on from filler episodes now. So people are always going to judge these ones kind of harshly because they feel like something always needs to happen. This one's always going to have the unfortunate thing of coming after that two-parter where they kill off the Doctor. Yeah, and it's like, oh, we still don't know what's going on with that. So people are probably desperate for answers about it, and then, they get a pirate one. But yeah, it didn't offend me. It's got its moments. There are things that I'd kind of forgotten about that I actually ended up appreciating quite a bit in it. And, I'm going to talk about what I liked about it, so I'm going to just spoil too much. It's fine. I'm definitely not going to look back on it as like, oh yeah, that's a standout of series 6 for me. So I don't think it is already, and we're only 3 episodes in.
Unless the rest of the series is absolutely terrible when you hate everything else, which is unlikely.
Perhaps I treated you too harsh. Maybe we will come back. This isn't for me. It's like last series we had Vampires of Venice, which I was like, yeah, it's fine. But I ended up really, really liking it. This one, I'm like, yeah, it was fine, and I still think, yeah, okay, it's okay. It's not, superb. It's not horrible. It's just kind of there. There are better filler episodes. I would argue there are probably worse ones.
But there definitely are.
But yeah, it's a thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to appreciate this now because the next episode this guy writes is Journey to the TARDIS.
Oh dear. Okay.
Yeah.
Bad track record. Oh boy.
So there we go.
Yeah, I think I'm in the same boat. I sort of went into
it. Nice. I mean, it's technically a ship, but
yes. Sorry. Went into it thinking not my favorite. I couldn't really remember much about it because it's been a while since I've seen it. Because again, it's one of those that you sort of look at if you're doing a rewatch and you think, I'll skip over it. It's fine. I don't want to have to sit through Curse of the Black Spot before I get to Doctor's Wife and then go from there. So I can, I still think that's the case for me. I'm not, it's not bad. It's definitely not like the worst episode we've ever seen.
Yeah.
In the past 6 series. I think for me, it's definitely on par with the dud of last series for me, which is The Beast Below, which I think was, for me at least, was sort of the weakest of the bunch. Not that, it was, again, it's another one where it's like, it's not terrible, but it
was the weakest of series 5. I think.
Considering what's around it and considering what we've already watched in the 2-parter and what we've seen from Matt Smith's run so far from series 5, I think this one very much felt like it was a filler episode. It was very much like they just needed another story that could come in, and maybe if it had sort of bigger budgets and maybe a bit more time on it, it might have been something that could have been good, because there's there's bits in here that I kind of like, but mostly for me, I think it was just a bit. It easily passes me by. I think I was sort of watching it thinking, oh, yeah, sure, all right, well, I'll keep watching it for this, but
it didn't bore me, but it didn't particularly excite me.
No, it wasn't like I was, I was bored, I'll turn it off. But at the same time, I wasn't like constantly. Yeah,
we're not doing it this week. I turned it off.
I turned it off halfway through. But it didn't like keep my attention. I found myself wandering, thinking about other things, doing whatever. Mm-hmm. So it's not something that I felt like I had to. If I went out the room to the toilet, I don't think I would have missed anything if I came back.
Yeah,
I think. You can say that about a lot of things.
It's not No Way Home.
No, it's definitely not. But, luckily, I've seen all of No Way Home now.
And you've seen Andrew Garfield's scenes in Doctor Who, so you wouldn't have missed him again.
No, yeah, exactly. Didn't leave for that. Until he turns up in another Marvel property that I miss.
Yeah, when you go to the toilet during Secret Wars, and you miss this one little scene.
It'll happen. It will happen. But yes, as always with these episode reviews. Oh, hello. Oh. Your lights just
it's the curse. It's coming for me. It's coming for me.
Oh dear.
Light bulb.
Do you want to? Oh my God,
that looks really cool.
There's a silence in your room.
I can't wait to watch that back. It looked like I fixed it.
Oh,
okay, it's fine. I can't afford new light bulbs. It's been doing that for months. So I'm sorry. We're going to have to make do. If it goes off, I've got my ring light and it's fine.
Yeah. You're not in pitch black anyway, so I'm sure it's fine.
No.
I've only got that one light, so if it goes off for me, that's it. I'll have a screen, and that'll be it.
This is a podcast now.
Yeah. It's a nightmare. But anyway, we do have positives and negatives, as we do with every episode. Normally 3 of each. I've pretty much got there. I've got some additional bits, but nothing I feel too passionately about. Again, I can't remember who went last time, so I'm going to go first this time. Right. My first positive, Hugh Bonneville,
yeah.
Him, great. I like him in this. I like him.
He's my bonus positive.
Oh, there you go. I just think he's, similar to when other actors come in, they add the sort of gravitas to a role, they add it to the show. He's one of those that's highly regarded, I think, in British film and TV. Mm-hmm. He has, I don't know if he was doing Downton at the time of doing this. I'm not sure when Downton Abbey started. I think it was around the same time.
It was around the same time, wasn't it? Yeah.
So, he's very much a household name. And you don't necessarily know it's him because he sometimes rewatching this, I had to Google to make sure it was him. I IMDb'd it to is that Hugh Bonneville? Is that him?
Is that Paddington Man?
Yeah, is that the guy from Paddington? And it is, and that's what we'll be saying every Peter Capaldi episode. Is that the guy from Paddington?
Is that Mr. Curry?
But yeah, I think he's great in this. I think he does add a sense of depth to the role. A lot of the other characters, I think, are quite flat. I think there's no depth to the other pirates.
You can tell this was a real person compared to the others. Stop it, lies.
Yes. I think he was definitely the standout for this one in the supporting cast. And yeah, he had the sort of. I liked him, and I'd like to see more of it. We will see more of him, but I wouldn't mind him continuing on. The light
unlimited power.
But yeah, I think he's great. He was great in this. He had a good, I think, chemistry with Matt Smith as well, sort of especially towards the end. And yeah, I think for an episode that I think doesn't have much to stand out, I think he's definitely the one that most people will remember from this episode. If not, the other one might be the Siren lady. But other than that, he's definitely the standout for me. So what's your first positive?
My first positive is the setting.
Okay.
The good old pirate ship.
Mm-hmm.
I love a good pirate theme thing, I guess. It helps when you add sea devils to it, I must admit. But I thought the fact that they filmed on a real ship probably helped. But yeah, I really liked kind of the atmosphere surrounding it and how they made it all look all spooky and weird. And you know, I still felt quite immersed in it, even when they went below deck and their studio sets. I still think, you know, it feels like, okay, they have just gone, you know, below deck, and it feels all kind of synced and stuff like that. I liked the kind of, I know, right? And yeah, I like how it's kind of contrasted then with the set of like the actual alien ship on board and the Sirens kind of med bay and all of that. How that's very sterile and clean compared to, you know, the disgusting, filthy pirate ship where they all would have surely died anyway because they've got all these diseases and scurvy and whatnot. But yeah, I just really like the setting. It's something a bit unique, you know. Doctor Who rarely does a pirate episode, as we can see. It's probably the first one since like William Hartnell or something. So you know, I do think certainly at the time, considering the last episode that aired was like a pirate one, currently for us. You know, it's not quite as like, oh, that's a fun, unique idea. But at the time, it certainly was, and it was something I'd always wanted to see them do, like a piratey themed one. So I was glad to have gotten it, come what may, however the quality. But yeah, I really thought they brought to life like the pirate kind of setting very, very well. And then, you know, with the Doctor Who elements they do with it, with the twist and everything. The lights don't agree with me, but I don't care about the lights. And yeah, I really liked how they kind of brought the setting to life in this one.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I definitely think sometimes I think to its detriment, you can tell it's filmed on a real ship, because sometimes I think it's too small for them to do stuff on the deck. Because if you then think about Sea Devils, where they got so much space on the deck to do their swords fight and stuff, and then you compare that with the sword fight in this at the start, it's a bit like, oh yeah, they're definitely on a real boat, and they're definitely trying to work around their restraints. But I appreciate the historical accuracy, I guess, of the ship.
Yeah, I think they did also film on the ship for Sea Devils, but it was obviously a much bigger ship, I think.
It definitely was a much bigger ship, because you could, I mean, it look, you know, a lot of the shots I think on the deck are taken from like a camera that's pointed at the deck rather than on the deck moving around, whereas I think Sea Devils had more on the deck sort of moving ones.
And they had a lot of people watching them film this one as well, so they probably like, get them out of the way, out of the way.
I do remember seeing the pictures and stuff of them filming this one. I think the rain scene in particular was one that I remember seeing, because it wasn't real rain, funnily enough.
It wasn't. There's a fun fact about that.
Oh,
find out how much water they used.
Ooh, lots. Yeah, I think the setting is great, and I definitely agree that it is a unique concept that is very rarely done by Doctor Who, which is very strange for some reason. My second positive is the Siren twist.
Me too.
Oh, nice.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, I just think it's I just think it's neat.
I just think it's neat.
Yeah, I mean, it gives you enough to kind of think, well, something's not right here, you know.
Why would something's not right?
Why would she just go for the weak ones when she can literally just get anyone she wanted? You know, there's something there that, you know, there's little hints towards that it's not what it seems. Although they take a big leap to be like, oh, I guess it might be fine, and then they like cut themselves. That's, you know, that's a big leap of logic, but you know, I do appreciate the twist that it's an automated med bay effectively that's like, I'm stuck here, I need to find something to do, and it saves people. I think, you know, all of the ship's crew, I guess, live. I think that's the implication, isn't it? I say live is a tense word, considering that it just keeps them.
They have to live on that ship for the rest of existence, but
yes, they live. Rory, you know, because Rory basically was like, okay, well, just kill me, I guess.
Yeah, Rory was very lucky that his wife was there to take them.
Yes, definitely.
All the others are screwed.
Yeah, but you know, I did like that twist. I like the design of the Siren as well. I think the way that it like changes her face, like the angry eyebrows, I think can be a bit weird, but
we'll talk about that.
Nice. I appreciate that it's quite over the top, as you know, it is effectively a computer interface, so
yeah,
it has to be sort of that blunt, I guess, in terms of what it is saying. You know, if you get an error message on your computer, there's big X's and everything to tell you not to do it, or so it's gone wrong. So for me, it kind of makes sense, but I do appreciate the twist, and I think if that wasn't there, it would be a tricky episode to get through, I think, if there wasn't that additional layer. But you know, the whole point of the episode, I guess, is that layer.
Yes.
You liked it as well?
I did. I wasn't sure where I was going to land on it because I've always gone back and forth on it.
Mm-hmm.
This time around, I appreciated it. I think I briefly mentioned it last week. The idea of lots of like fake doctors and like fake out doctors in this series. I think it ties into that quite nicely. It's like a doctor hidden in plain sight, which I think is cool that they've kind of tied that into it this early and sown the seeds for some theming there. And yeah, I think that's what Doctor Who does best, is do like twists on things and their own little spin on it. And I quite liked taking a very traditional like sea monster and being like, well, it's actually a doctor in this case, and this and that, and this is why this works, blah 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 blah. And yeah, I really liked how it kind of all got resolved ish, mainly apart from the pirates having to stay there forever. But yeah, it was nice, and it, I guess, opened up a reveal for well, not really a reveal, but some interesting developments for Amy and Rory's relationship, which I actually really enjoyed that aspect of them as well in this one. So that was great. And it also gave us my favorite scene, which is when they're like, Toby, Rory, the TARDIS, which I've always loved. And we wouldn't have had that without that twist, because it would have just been a real Siren thing. So, I appreciate it for that, if nothing else. But yeah, I actually very much enjoyed that twist this time around. I think I've been finally, after 11 years, fully won over, and I'm like, I'm staying on this side. I think it works quite well.
Nice. Lovely. Yeah, it is nice. There's a lot of twists in Doctor Who, and you can argue that this is a twist that's probably been done before. Wouldn't surprise me if it has, but
every story ever has already been told.
Yeah, exactly. It was good. My third positive, and I kind of struggled for third positives. I'm going to give it to Mr. Matt Smith.
Hey,
I thought he was great. I think of the whole cast, I think he was the best one. I think maybe because Amy doesn't exactly have much to do, Rory's very much also not got much to do except die.
Get hurt, become a fool, and then die.
Yeah, exactly. And Amy's role in this, she has a good bit when she's like trying to battle off the pirates and things like that at the start, but then I very much felt she faded into the background a little bit until the end, where she had to save Rory. But the Doctor very much has control of the situation, even when he sort of doesn't, and he forms a bond with Hugh Bonville's character, and it keeps that there, and he keeps it anchored together. And yeah, I think he's always one of the positives of any episode, really. And I think in this one, he's again, it's probably because there's not too much to the rest of the story, so he stands out more than maybe he would have. But I still think he's definitely the standout in this one. Him and Hugh Bonneville are, I think without those two, this episode definitely would have been worse for me.
Yeah,
at least. So yeah, what's your third?
Well, it does kind of tie into that. So I've just put like the core trio as a whole. So I know you just put Matt Smith on his own as well, but that's just kind of my given anyway. So yeah, he was great. I liked some of his funnier moments. I like the alien bogies bit, and him wiping that off on Amy's sleeve is always fun. And didn't get his jabs. I liked that. Current events in my Doctor Who. Oh, pro-vax in my Doctor Who. So yeah, that made me chuckle to myself. Like, people will hate that now. So yes, I enjoyed everything with him, and I liked him getting mad at Avery for keeping all the treasure. Is it worth it now, you bitch? So I like that. We still saw that side of him, even though this is one of the more goofier episodes, I guess, for 11. So I like that we still saw that side of him. And yeah, I ended up really liking the Amy and Rory stuff at the end when she had to save him. I like that they brought back, that Rory's a nurse. They brought that back into it, so he could teach her that. Because then that's kind of a little reminder before Good Man Goes to War, where they pay that off with Strax being a nurse and everything like that. So I'm glad that they put that little reminder in there. I think that made sense. And yeah, I think it just shows how much that relationship's matured between the two of them. She was willing to just give that consent away. She was so desperate to just be near her husband, and the fact that she would never give up trying to revive him and everything, even though she kind of did. But yeah, I did really enjoy that they've really matured that relationship a bit, particularly coming off the last episode where there's still that insecurity about Rory and they still try to do that fake outy thing. I quite liked seeing Amy be the jealous one for once when Rory was like, "She's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen." You know, I'm glad that they're balancing out that scale, because that's just kind of pushing them more towards their end goal, where Amy and Rory kind of choose to be together in Angels Take Manhattan and everything. So yeah, I really liked, you know, how grown up that felt for them after, you know, a lot of relationship nonsense with them in series 5. It was a good bit of growth, I felt, and you know, it's. People be like, "Oh, Rory's fake out death again," but I do feel like this one developed their relationship and made that stronger. So I think there is a worthwhile cause for this particular one. So yeah, I very much enjoyed, you know, a lot of what the core 3 brought to it. I do think Amy and Rory do kind of disappear in the middle, and I think it shows when Avery's the one who goes with the Doctor in the TARDIS and has all that scene there. But they also pay that off in a nice way. He's like, "Point me towards the atom accelerator," which was very wholesome. So they definitely kind of do feel kind of spare party in this one. But you know, when they do get stuff to do, I do think it's good. So it kind of balances that out, I guess.
Yep, I think that's fair. And I think, you know, the sort of the way Rory is sort of at risk of dying in this one is much more real than he has been before. You know, it's almost like a real life, real world situation. So I think that's why it's more impactful, I think, because it's something that can happen whenever, and not necessarily something that just happens on the adventures. But yes, I did appreciate that, even if they do vanish at some point throughout the episode. But yes, in terms of other positives, I like the design of the dead aliens.
Yeah,
they look pretty cool.
Shark Boy.
Anything else from you?
I agree. I also had Hugh Bonneville. We've already talked about that, so that was my bonus one, really.
Great, good sign. Good sign. Negatives next. My first one, I think. I know. I'm just trying to put this into words. My first one, I think the episode is just a bit meandering. I think it seems to take ages for anything to happen. They seem to be going backwards and forwards until finally there's a storm just to move the story on so that they get into the ship. And I'm like, oh, okay. So, you know, it very much felt like they knew the end goal of this episode was to have that medical bay and have this ship available to come into A Good Man Goes to War, and you know all that. It felt like that's the end goal, and they worked back from it. And I think it shows in the fact that they're like, right, we're on the deck. Oh, now we're in this cabin. Now we wait in this cabin for a bit. Now some of us go here to this cabin. Now some of us come back to this cabin. Now we're going to go to the TARDIS while you wait in this cabin. Now we're going to come back to this cabin. And it just felt very, it just a little bit disjointed, a little bit more like, that's why I didn't feel like I would miss anything if I was to leave the room, because I just knew that it's either going to be in this cabin or this cabin, and they're just going to talk at each other about the danger they're in, and maybe someone will accidentally stab themselves, because that's the only way you can really get injured in this, which again we'll come on to. But it very much felt like they had the end goal in mind, and they were like, right, we're just going to have some stuff beforehand before we get there, because there is no, we figure out how to get to this ship. There is no, the Doctor works it out. He takes a gamble on what he think might be the case.
Yeah.
Via some, you know, there's no real evidence for him to think why that might be the case.
No, he had no other choice, and it just worked out.
No, exactly, and he got lucky, and I think that's sort of, you know, that's where you can tell that they knew what they wanted to do in the sort of last third of this episode, but not with the actual pirate stuff.
They needed like a reason, like, why don't they just sail away? Oh, well, there's no breeze, so they just have to stay. And then it's like, oh shit, it's like 10 minutes left. Quick, storm.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, you know, some stories do that, and some they work out really well. Some, you know, some have a similar thing, but I think in this one it's quite obvious that they knew the ending before they knew the start and the rest of the story. At least for me. Mm-hmm. So what was your first negative?
My first one, what was it? Oh yeah. I do feel like some of the tension, I think, was a bit forced for me.
That's my second one.
In this one. The worst one for me is when they work out its reflections and they immediately cut to the kid going, "Ooh," with this medal. I'm like, oh, fuck off. Like, what timing is that? That one really annoys me.
It's Rory shiny enough as it is anyway. Like,
exactly.
It didn't get any shinier.
I know. Rory having the worst luck in the world getting cut when he did by the sword.
Why are you catching the sword?
I was like, oh, for God's sake, Rory. And then when he does get hit into the ocean, as much as I like what they do with it, ultimately, it's literally, it cuts while it's in the middle of happening. So maybe something went a bit off with like filming the stunt and stuff. But it's like we just saw how he got in that position completely off screen. He was just suddenly then, oh shit. So that was also a thing. So it just happened many times. I was like, oh god. I kind of get it with the TARDIS because they always come up with the excuse why TARDISes need to be like cast away and stuff. And I thought Avery keeping the treasure, so that all plays out the way it does with Tevye. I think that makes sense because he's a pirate and this is why he's in the business. So, character-wise, I thought that made sense and gave him an arc. So I didn't mind that one either. But yeah, there was just a lot of instances where they really tried to make it happen.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. So I think a lot of the tension in the episode, I think they probably could have done it in a more subtle, delicate way. The fact that it's happened before, even off screen, and that this is a thing that's happening, kind of enough. The fact that the TARDIS is gone, okay, we're stuck with it. That is tense in itself and all of that jazz. But yeah, sometimes I think they get lost in the piratiness of it all, and they feel like they have to do it in this certain way to make things happen. I don't know.
Yeah, I think the worst one for me is when Hugh Bonneville almost falls over and like impales his hand, and I'm like, it's his own ship. He wouldn't be doing that. He wouldn't be doing that. But especially if they're on a calm ship and they're not like, it very much felt like it was just like, this is only one ship and they're a crew. So what risk are they at? And they had to engineer reasons for them to be sword fighting or have a sword or do something. If they were maybe a ship being chased by another ship at the same time as being there, and maybe they were being, maybe there was some other conflict going on in the middle of this, and the Siren was maybe taking people from both sides, something like that. Maybe then you could have a whole thing about how the two sides come together to figure things out or something like that. But if there's no real antagonist that is causing danger, it's very difficult to have that danger. The TARDIS not being there fine because it's what happens. It happened in Cold War where it just goes up, bye, and leaves. So,
yeah, and that's then bringing back a thing that happened in the classic series to explain why the TARDIS sometimes disappeared when it got tense. So it happens all the time.
Yeah, I don't really have an issue with that. It's just it feels like there needed to be a conflict in this that wasn't written in for it. Maybe they had the idea of a pirate and then the ending, and they went, "Oh, we'll just put these two together," and then they went, "We don't have anything else here." If it was in the middle of a war or something else or a different setting, maybe it could work a bit better, especially with it being a nurse or something like that. But maybe that's too similar to the Doctor Dances and the Empty Child with the nurse fixing things in the middle of a war. Because it's, now that you think of it, it's pretty similar.
And then they didn't get one ship at all, so much less trying to get two and have the budget for that, I guess.
Yeah, so I do agree. There are moments of forced worriedness. That was my second one. So what's your second one?
We briefly touched on it. The bad TikTok filter face on the Siren when she turns red. I like that she turns red. I think that makes sense. I think that's cool.
The eyebrows.
Just give her an angry. It just looks like they've put a Snapchat filter on her. Yeah. And I don't know. Just looks a bit weird, particularly after the reveal and like Amy's trying to get close to her, and they're really up close. It looks a bit. I just like.
It feels like that would have been something better to do on the ship when she's trying to take the people away and they're stopping, because there's no, like, she's trying to take them and they're stopping them and holding them back. That feels like that's a moment where that should happen.
Yeah. So I kind of wish like they just let the actress act instead of put a filter on her face. And I like that she turns red and everything. I think that's cool. But yeah, it's just kind of brings me out of it whenever she does it. I'm like, that looks silly. You're silly, you silly thing. And maybe, I know she's like, she can take all sorts of forms, so she's just trying her best, and maybe she didn't quite work it all out in terms of making this appearance for herself, because that happened. But yeah, it just looks a bit weird to me and a bit bad and silly.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
It's obviously a nitpick, but still.
Yeah, no, it's fair. Thinking of things that look bad and silly, there are a number of terrible props in this episode where they've clearly just gone to the fancy dress.
Hey, that boy tried his best.
I think the swords, like, you can tell that they're flimsy fake swords. just in
health and
close-ups.
safety has killed Doctor Who.
It has. And then the worst one is the crown, where it just looks like it's like cardboard, shiny cardboard with some stuff sticking out. Like, oh, that doesn't even look like a real crown. Surely
that's been the BBC wardrobe for like 20 years.
Well, that's it. Like, surely the BBC must have another prop that looks better as a. But yeah, I think there's just a number of. Maybe they put all the budget into securing the ship, and they're like, "Well, that's the best prop we can get. You just shove it with cheap stuff that if it falls overboard, fine, it doesn't matter." But it just doesn't look good. Like the medallion, fine, that looks like a real medallion. That looks fine. That looks solid silver, but the crown, I will refuse to believe that is any kind of metal whatsoever. And then the swords, they look like the swords that you get in like a fancy dress costume. It's complete with like the handle as well, and
it's like Battle of the Bastards in Game of Thrones, where Jon Snow takes his sword out and it's all like wobbly and stuff.
Yeah,
it's very funny,
obviously. But yeah, I mean, it's fine. The wardrobe department did great. You know, they all look
the costumes
great.
Look great.
You know, but yeah,
considering they also had like a dry suit underneath all their costumes as well. Like, they could have looked like they were like massive, but I think they did a good job with it.
Yeah, it definitely does. It's definitely fine. But yeah, I think just the props. Sorry, prop department, but pretty basic. Yeah. Your third negative?
Yes. Maybe I just kind of missed something when they were kind of explaining everything, but I feel like I wanted a better explanation for how she could use the reflections and stuff. I feel like that just kind of went right over my head. It just feels like they needed to think of something. They just threw out the episode and hope people didn't question it. So, you know, they quickly tried to explain a lot, and I do feel like it was all making sense. But that was just such a big thing. And again, it ties into the forced tension thing, I guess, in a way, because they needed a way for her to switch between ships. And,
because it was tension. Water, wasn't it? And then it was reflections.
Yeah, it was still water.
Even though there's been loads of reflections around loads of people before they realized reflections. But
I guess that's also why it doesn't make that much sense to me. Like, why is it not being more utilized then, if that's the case? And why is she only utilizing it once everyone else has worked out what she's doing? You know, I guess there's just could have thought that through better. I do like the recurring joke of the Doctor being like, disregard everything I've said. I like that they kept doing that. I thought that was funny. But at what cost? God damn, at what cost? So yeah, I just feel like maybe they needed a better explanation for that, or maybe I missed something. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I think that's fair.
Of everything they try to explain and stuff, you know, I think I'm glad that at least everything with the Siren, I feel like does make sense, and like in terms of what she is and what she does, how she does it. But just that reflection thing, just because it's such a big deal and it's like the big climactic moment, like when the crown falls out and you know Toby gets taken and all of that. I wish there was more of a succinct explanation to it.
Yeah, I think I'd also like to know why she can't just appear in a different reflection in the rest of the ship and then just walk through the doors like normal people. You know, what limits her to just that one location, I think would have been useful. I don't know, maybe they could have said something, she can't stray more than however long from a gateway to the ship, something like that. But yeah, because she could appear on the deck and then just like try and bash down the doors if she wanted to. But never mind. Some additional sort of negative, sort of nitpicky things I had. I don't believe Toby would have survived on the ship for that long at sea. I refuse to believe he would have been hidden away in that ship for that long, coughing and spluttering all over the place. Not only that, but he also wouldn't realize that he was on a pirate ship. I think it's very naive of him. Because he would have had to have boarded the ship. He would have seen the ship from the outside. It's not like he just got in and didn't know what ship he was on. He must have known some context around it, but I don't know. So I refuse to believe that he would have survived them there. But they needed the captain to have some conflict, an interest really, in something. Also, the forced moments of, hey, here's the series arc. Don't you forget the series arc. Don't you dare.
That you could really tell they swapped the episode order around. And this is supposed to be so much later. This is supposed to be episode 9. You can tell by the end. Because like everything with the Good Man Goes to War, they weren't supposed to be in it. This only happened because they swapped the episode order while they were filming it. So they could refilm scenes like that ending bit and everything with that. it definitely was a bit much. And the goddamn flashbacks. We know he's going to die.
Yeah.
It was the last episode.
It was the episode before this one.
If it had been a few episodes, fine.
Yeah.
But it was literally the previous story. And
Yeah,
I
yeah.
you know, I know you've swapped production around and everything like that. But come on, by this point, you knew it was episode 3. You added the bit with Kavarian in it, for God's sake. You knew what you were doing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I get that.
And yeah, I think although I enjoyed Hugh Bonneville in this, I do wish he was in a better episode. You know, I can't. I mean, that's something. I guess that's against the episode, but that's more of a selfish point of view than anything the episode necessarily did. But I wish he was a different character in a different episode that was better.
As you know, when Goes to War, what do you want?
It's true. Yeah. Oh, she had a bigger role in that then. But you know,
he was supposed to not be in at all. What do you want?
More. I wanted more. We have a lot of guest actors come in, and we often or not we feel they're a bit wasted. In certain ones, you know, you think of the Battle of Ranscore, Av Kolos, and Robert Baratheon in that one. I'd consider that a pretty big waste of an actor, but hey, it happens. What could you do? He's a character in the show. He has his own spaceship. He could return and be like, "I'm a space pirate now. Here's me looking cool, and I'm written better." But
yeah, when they stop doing Downton Abbey movies, I'm sure Big Finish will set them up.
yeah. Well, maybe I don't know how well the most recent Downton film did, but probably enough. It probably did enough for another one.
To be fair, I think they said that was supposed to be the last one, but they also said that about the first one. So
if he makes money, it's never the last one.
Exactly. Halloween Ends. I don't think it really does, mate.
Joker.
I barely know her.
It's funny. Oh yeah. So yeah, if it made money, it's fine. But yeah. Anyway, Hugh Bonneville should have been in other episodes as a different person, or just cast him again as someone completely different.
It's been long enough.
Yeah. It's literally been a decade. So
Jericho would have been in classic Doctor Who before, and he was in the terrible one. He's been in it twice, I think. So he's been saved with Jericho. Best boy.
He really has.
It can happen again.
Funnily enough, there's also the pirate connection there as well.
Yeah.
Any additional negatives from yourself?
Just kind of like the ending. Kind of remember the Doctor died in the last one.
Don't forget the story arc.
But again, I feel like that is more obvious to me because I know that they swapped the episodes around. I feel like that wouldn't have bothered me as much if this was like the first time watching and stuff. So that's probably a me problem more than the show. But they also again probably could have handled that a bit better. So yeah, that's kind of it though.
It could have been in the modern day. It probably would have been like a post-credit scene, I guess, where it's like where they have that to tease what's to come, kind of thing. But it's fine. Fun facts. Let's end on a high. What are your fun facts for Curse of the Black Spot?
Well, they are as follows. Right. The working title of this episode was Siren. I believe I know. This episode was originally planned to air in the second half of the season, but as with Doctor's Wife being swapped from episode 3 to episode 4, this episode was swapped with Mark Gatiss' Night Terrors, which ultimately became episode 9. Moffat felt Gatiss' episode was quite dark and better placed later on in the series, and this is why Night Terrors footage was so heavily featured in the Series 6 trailer, because at the time that was going to be episode 3, so it was going to be something you saw fairly soon. This episode was made to allow the Doctor and his companions to, and I quote, kick back and have some fun. Hence the switching of the episodes. Because
that's why Rory almost died.
That's why he almost died, and the Doctor died in the prior episode. But yeah, I guess compared to like Night Terrors and
that's why the child is going to die if he leaves the spaceship.
Yes, he's going to die. But yeah,
so fun.
Switched around. In the first draft, the story was set on dry land in Cornwall in case the show couldn't get a ship. They got a ship, so they rewrote it. The episode order change was decided near the end of production on the episode, allowing for filming of additional scenes, including Amy seeing Kavarian through the hatch while she was asleep with Rory, the Doctor checking the pregnancy scan at the end, and Avery and Toby's cameo in A Good Man Goes to War. So they got on that, I guess, if nothing else. Hooray! Henry Avery was a real-life figure who had gone missing with his crew for unexplained reasons. And this episode, does the Doctor Who twist to explain what happened. Writer Steve Thompson was inspired to use him by looking through his son's book on pirates and seeing that Avery had mysteriously disappeared with no explanation. Avery had also, as it turns out, previously been mentioned in the first Doctor story, The Smugglers, where the Doctor comes along some treasure that he stored in the church. So there you go. Who'd have thought? It only took them like 40 years to pay that off. Look.
Amazing. Wow.
The unique incidental music in this episode, called Deadly Siren, is reused again during Avery and Toby's cameo in A Good Man Goes to War, and also in The Night of the Doctor, surprisingly. Listen out for that.
A lot of the music in this did sound very reminiscent of Series 3, like Daleks in Manhattan stuff. Like there was a couple of times where I was listening, I was like, that very much feels like it's reused Murray Gold. You can only do that towards the end of your tenure, not now. No. Thank you very much.
But, we got some unique stuff for this one, but then they reused that.
Yes. So. Yeah.
Hooray.
Not that we did for Day of the Doctor.
Oh, get over it.
God, never. What a waste.
What a waste. The exterior of the ship was filmed at docks in Cornwall, while the lower decks were studio-built sets. The main challenge of filming at the dock was to keep a lot of what happens hidden from the audience. The crew set up smoke machines to simulate fog and used 15,000 litres of water in wind and rain machines to create the storm scenes.
It's not very environmentally friendly, Doctor Who.
No, you'd be doing well to get away with that now. The cast wore dry suits under their costumes in preparation for getting absolutely bloody soaked, which they did. I'm sure it was very uncomfortable. And poor Lily Cole as the Siren was also in a bloody harness and stuff.
A nightie. And that was about it.
And that's basically it. The beds in the sickbay set were attached by strings, making them liable to sway around a lot. The cast in them were asked to stay as still as they could whilst in them. They probably ruined so many takes because they were like, wee. I wouldn't be able to control myself anything. Karen Gillan did most of her own stunts in this episode, having expressed excitement
to do them. She did loads.
She was able to do all the fight choreography with the sword and swing on the rope along the ship, but a stunt double was required for the stunt where Amy's thrown across the ship by the Siren, which is the funnest one.
My favourite bit is before the storm where Avery's like, "Oh, man the sails," and she's pulling the ropes, but she's not pulling the ropes. Her hands are just sliding down. I was like, no.
We're renting the ship. You can't damage it. Don't touch it in any way.
I was like, oh, that's terrible. Sorry. Yeah.
Arthur Darvill was originally going to do the stunt himself, where he was hit into the ocean, but a stunt double ended up having to be used instead, probably because it's slippery as fuck.
Insurance will let him do
it. One late removal from the script was that the Siren would have appeared to Toby as a young girl instead, being a clue for the Doctor working out her non-malicious intentions. That would have been cool, but of course they've probably had to pay another person, so they probably couldn't afford to.
Probably couldn't film when they wanted to use a child as well. They already got one child on set.
A child.
Enough. It's enough.
Yeah, it's enough. Writer Steve Thompson was inspired to use the Siren from a popular Cornish tale, The Mermaid of Zennor, from the 15th century, where a mermaid with a beautiful singing voice convinces a human to live with her in the sea. That's where that came from. When Lily Cole appeared on the ship as the Siren, she was always strapped in a harness to appear as if she was floating. She had fun at first, but after a few hours, she said it was, and I quote, very uncomfortable. So there you go. And then finally, with Lily Cole in green makeup and a green dress, this episode for the first time had to use blue screen in studios rather than standard green screen. So I'm glad that, imagine if they hadn't thought of that, and then they go to edit the episode. Oh no! Well, 12 episodes this series it is. So yeah, I'm glad they thought of that. I wonder how long it took them to think of it.
They're on set and they went, something's not right here.
Oh my god, get the blue screen quickly. I've been so funny.
Get the can of paint, quick.
So yes, there you go. Fun facts.
Lovely. They were some fun facts. All right, well, Curse of the Black Spot. All we have left to do is rate it out of 10. What are you giving this episode?
I didn't hate it. There have been better ones. I want to say 7, but 7 is dangerously close to 9. And I feel like the other two are so much dangerously better. 6 or 6.5. I had fun with it. It's not, I don't know. I'm going to go 6.5.
I am a 5.5 man.
My God.
I know. Well, I looked back, spoiler, I looked back at what I gave Beast Below and I was like, it's pretty on par with that. And I'm pretty sure I gave that a 5.5 as well. So I was like, wow.
That's fair enough.
Of these two, I wouldn't want to watch either of them. So,
so
if it was a choice between these two episodes, I just wouldn't watch any. So I just so it's only fair they have the same score.
Yeah.
And I only looked back because it's in the same notebook. So if it was in an old notebook, I'd have just guessed.
It would have long been gone.
Yeah, could have been a 3. No.
They haven't given a 3 to anything yet.
No, I don't think.
I say yet.
Yeah.
4's the lowest I think we've ever gone.
Yeah,
for
that was
Leather
probably like
Monsters.
Fear Her. Oh, yeah.
What else got a 4 for mine?
Must
Oh,
be
Long
Fear
Game.
Her,
Long
wasn't
Game
it?
got a 4
Oh,
as
Long
well.
Game.
Yeah, Fear Her I don't think did great, but I remember ranking Fear Her a bit higher than Leather Monsters.
Fair enough. There you go. Well,
a long time ago.
Yeah, that's it for
many moons ago.
Many years ago. It was like
Rose was the regular companion back then.
Series 2, the worst episode of New Who.
Had 3 since then.
Yes, that's it for this week for Series 6. I'm not sure what we're going to do next week yet because, as I'm sure most people will be aware, The Power of the Doctor is on the Sunday. So we might do some stuff around 13 leading up to that if I've got the time, but I'm sure we can fit something in somewhere. And then after Power of the Doctor, after we've done all of that, we will be back with Liam. What episode's next?
The Doctor's wife's next.
And how do you feel about that one?
That's right. No. Oh shit! I've just damaged my laptop.
The light goes out with some time.
Yeah, the light falls onto my head and knocks me out. The light bulb smashes over my face. Irreparable damage.
You can never see the Doctor's wife again.
No. Oh, the cruel irony. Just as we get to it, now I can't watch an episode ever again. I'm still blind. But yeah, Doctor's Wife is my favorite episode of Doctor Who. So I'm quite excited to have gotten to this point. Taken nearly 2 years to get here. I've been a patient boy, but my patience will soon be rewarded. For me to be like, oh no, it's bad. No, it won't be. I watch it all the time. I love it. So I'm very confident that I'm going to continue to love it. So yeah, very excited to get to that. You know, I think it's such a cool idea for a Doctor episode. I can't believe they didn't do it sooner. But yeah, love it. Neil Gaiman, what a man. Excited.
Yep, I think that's fair. It's been a long time since I've seen this one, not out of any particular reason, just because it's been a long time since I've watched Series 6 in general, especially because we've been doing this. I've been trying to avoid sort of David Tennant and Matt Smith stuff, so it's been a while.
This is my boomtown.
It is. I was going to say this is literally your boomtown. We had mine so early on.
So long ago.
Everything's just gone downhill.
Literally, less than 3 months, and we got to your favorite.
I know. Back when we had some worse audio and visuals, that's people just won't watch that one.
I lived in a different house.
Yeah, literally. But yes, I remember liking it a lot. I like the characters in it. I think I like the concept. Michael Sheen is very like not underused, but I don't know what the best word is. Like he's not.
It being Michael Sheen, you don't know it's him.
Yeah, it being Michael Sheen isn't front and center of this one. You know, he's a guest star that's not the star, if that makes sense.
The guest star that couldn't be on set physically, so the only way for him to be in Doctor Who is to do a voice role.
Basically, and you know it works. You can't even tell it's him from his voice acting. We'll have to see if that's because he changed his voice or that was done post-production. But we will have a look. Yeah, I remember liking it a lot. We will see if I like it as much as you. But
I have my doubts.
I would say probably not. But I imagine this will probably be up there with one of the highest ratings for the series. Because it is.
Yeah, the ratings being 9 and 5.5.
Yeah, you know, anywhere in between is higher than it.
Yeah, we're good. Yeah,
literally, it's a 3. 0 out of 10.
Oh my god!
Only one who 0 out of 10. Not worth
episode. Out of spite, you give it a 0.
Yeah. But yes,
I'd respect it.
Oh, right. Well,
but I'd never forgive you.
That
would be the final episode of Shaggy.
Yeah, we'll never be doing this again. But yeah, that is it for this week. We'll be back with more videos, all sorts going on. Who knows? Even after Paradox comes out, we might have a trailer for whatever's coming next, maybe, because they have been filming, so they might have enough to put a trailer together.
Yeah, they've wrapped on the 60th and stuff. So
yeah, so
shooting's supposed to apparently begin filming next month. So
yeah, so you know, we could have more stuff.
If he hasn't already filmed some stuff.
If he hasn't already, that's true.
Which I'm pretty sure he has.
Yeah, he could be making his appearance next Sunday. yeah,
mad.
we'll be back in the meantime. Between now and Power of the Doctor, and obviously in a couple of weeks we will return with the Doctor's wife. But yeah, that's it. Goodbye.
Bye.